From the Post-Millennial, Chelsea Handler said she had to remind 50 Cent that he can't vote for Donald Trump because he's black. The racism of these cringe leftists. Here you go.
You heard about my ex-boyfriend, right? 50 Cent and his support of Donald Trump.
Yeah, what's going on between you? I saw your tweets and I go, wait, what's happening? Because you said he was your favorite ex-boyfriend and then what does he do? He's supporting Trump?
He says he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes, which, by the way, isn't a plan of Joe Biden's. That's a lie. So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook. So I haven't heard back from him yet, but I am willing to, seal the deal in more ways than one if he changes his mind and publicly denounces Donald Trump. I might be willing to go for another spin, if you know what I'm talking about.
There is nothing like wealthy, liberal white women.
I mean, she's completely wrong because we know for a fact that Biden announced a tax plan not that long ago that would spike almost all taxes through the roof. This is Forbes, May 7th, 2024. They literally just updated it right now. Under Biden tax plan, capital gains tax will exceed 50% in 11 states. This isn't the only story, because we covered this a while ago. This is, I don't know what to tell you. Chelsea Handler is a low cognition human. I try to be academic in my insults, and she has no idea what she's talking about. 50 Cent does. He does not want to pay exorbitant taxes, so he'll vote for Trump. So Chelsea decides that she should be racist, I guess, and tell him that black people aren't allowed to vote for Donald Trump.
Oh, man. Can you imagine thinking this is going to look good if I say I had to remind my ex-boyfriend that he was black? Like, what are you talking about, Chelsea Handler?
Handler shouldn't have even had to come out and say, she didn't have to come out and say this because Trump's plan to attract black voters through different campaigns, including celebrities like 50 Cent, is not going to work at all. So I don't know why Chelsea Handler has to kind of defend, Democrats against from black people, because I mean it's not a good plan. And there's three officials within the Trump plan. So there's three officials within the Trump campaign who outlined to Politico the former president's strategy to attract more black voters, mainly by using his legal troubles and issues of race in New York more broadly with immigration to try to attract more of them.
Nothing else worked, so why not?
The theme is, like you, I'm unfairly persecuted by the criminal justice system, but I don't think this will be a play that works out. Trump famously pardoned many black rappers, Kodak Black, I believe, Lil Wayne as well, but I don't think black people will vote any less for Democrats now. Biden will still end up getting 80+% of the Democrat vote, even if Trump picks a black VP.
Trump should offer reparations. Trump should come out and be like, if you vote for me, I will push reparations for the black community. And the reason why is Trump supporters would vote for him either way. And so what does it matter?
I hate the idea of really trying to. It's so boldly trying to buy off voters. Not that Trump would be unique in that if he did that, but it's just so blatant and upfront.
But my point is just to rip it out from underneath Democrats.
It's crazy how every 5-10 years the conversation of reparations comes on the scene.
Every 4 years.
Completely every 4 years. There you go. Completely disappears once Biden's in office, once there are Democrats in office. Nobody talks about it anymore. But I remember when I got started 7 or 8 years ago. Oh yeah, it was a big thing to talk about. I don't know. It comes in and out, but this Trump campaign strategy to attract more black voters, I mean, good for you guys for trying. It will not work. And if they were relying on, you're better off reaching out to Hispanics.
There's all kinds of stuff that political campaigns do for a minute to try and buy voters. And I don't know if you saw this, but Paul Gosar introduced this bill to have the $500 bill have Trump's face on it. And it prompted all this reflection on the fact that they had been like, we should take Andrew Jackson off to 20 and put Harry Tubman on. And then, so it got paused under Trump. This was an Obama thing, paused under Trump. The Biden administration, early January, as soon as he's in office, was like, we're bringing it back. Have you guys heard about this since?
No. They wanted to get rid of the best Democrat off the 20?
Yes.
I got an idea. Trump should offer, if he wants to get more Latino voters, he should offer to give back California.
No, if anything, he should offer to take more. He should offer to take
no, he's like, it's a two birds with one stone. right? So you listen, like, if you're in California, you're Mexico now, exactly what you want. And we don't want California either, so it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, there are all kinds of border communities in Texas that became more red under Trump because they are actually tired of illegal immigration, right? Like, I don't know that Trump actually has to do anything gimmicky. Like, he could just keep on keeping on, and it would be fine. I think that the worst part here is that probably someone on the Biden campaign like called Chelsea Handler immediately and was like, "Don't forget to point out these talking points. It's really important that we don't let people get excited about this 50 cent thing."
I'm just so not sold on Trump trying to effectively reach out to black voters. In the past, he did we mentioned it earlier, the criminal justice reform. That was purely a play for black voters that didn't pan out. So maybe he should double down on other things. Maybe Trump and the Trump campaign and staffers know something that I don't. The rally that he held in the South Bronx was a smashing success, although I don't know how politically or electorally relevant that will pan out being. So it was cool that he visited New York, though.
I just think it's symbolic. Like, the Bronx visit is just about the fact that, like, Democrats haven't been there, and that part of New York is taken for granted as
when he's reaching out to the 20% of black people that vote for him, it feels like he's doing too much pandering to them and not rewarding his base enough. If anything, we need to solve the immigration crisis. I guess he is trying to tie these issues together, but I don't know how compelled black people would be when he says and talks about immigration swamping us. So,
I mean, in this case, it seems like 50 Cent is saying actually it's the economic issues are what we should talk about more, which is really what they should do, because Biden, if you push Biden on it at all, he's a bad record.
This isn't even the most famous black rapper to come. Did he come out for Trump explicitly, or was it a visit to Congress that he was doing? But Lil Wayne's more famous than 50 Cent, so I don't know who cares about this guy.
Maybe.
That's just me as a
Do you care about 50 Cent? Are you a big fan?
No.
Do you remember 50 Cent?
I remember 50 Cent back in the day, but
in the club?
No, I think Lil Wayne's a little bit more.
Well, if Lil Wayne couldn't convince black people to vote for Trump, I don't know if there's anybody who can.
I mean, 50 Cent endorsed Biden last time, so maybe the fact that he just is converted now is the bigger story here.
I think we're beating around the bush of how totally irrelevant celebrity endorsements are. Nobody's being convinced by Chelsea Handler saying anything. Like, nobody, what moron is being convinced by 50 Cent? It's like, oh yeah, 50 Cent.
She could have not talked about this. Like, basically what she's saying is like, I'm still thinking about my ex-boyfriend and I'm sad that he's a Republican. Like,
I didn't know they were a thing.
I didn't
know that, but that makes so much sense.
What she's highlighting is that she's actually kind of alone.
I worry about people like Chelsea Handler. How old is she?
Ooh, she's in her 50s.
Right. She's a single 50-something-year-old woman.
49.
She's 49.
Really?
Oh.
Are you saying she looks bad for her age, Hannah Claire?
I thought she was
She does,
older.
actually. I thought she was 58 or something.
That's a really pixely picture of her too.
But either way, it's like, you know, I remember when she talked about how she wakes up, does drugs, masturbates, goes to bed, wakes up, does drugs again. And Ben Shapiro was like, she's miserable. She's absolutely miserable. And I was like, I don't think so. I think she's very much in the moment and happy. But she's headed towards the epitome of nightmare scenarios for a human being. You know, it is sad, but it is reality that as you get older, you have less and less friends. Relationships become harder to maintain. And friends and family begin to die. It is a reality. So, you know, everybody's gone through it. I don't know when the first time it happened to me. I think I was a teenager. I was like 18 when we found out one of our neighborhood friends had died from a drug overdose. And it's like a crazy thing when you realize you will never see them again. You will never hear them again. It's like you don't really get it when you're a kid because you haven't been around, you've been alive that long to witness these things. Maybe you had a pet die or something like that. And then you get older and it happens quite a bit. And then you end up getting messages from friends be like, hey, man, how you been? Just want to let you know, Rick passed away. A friend of mine he died in his sleep. We don't know how. He was like 37 years old, a kid from my neighborhood. You know, understanding these things, the one thing that is always there for the average person throughout human history is that they have families. They always did. Everyone alive today had a family. Now, you may have been detached from your family, but everyone had a family. If you don't have kids, you will be the first life form in your entire genetic lineage to not reproduce. Chelsea Handler is very much going to end up as an old woman sitting in a house, and the kids are going to be outside the apartment or house, and they're going to be like, that's old lady Handler's place. She's going to know nobody. Like, she may be a bit more fortunate than most that she's famous and
rich.
And the women that she influences that are like her are going to have a bunch of cats. They're going to be destitute, unable to work, and Social Security is going to become insolvent in 10 years. So for someone like her, I could not imagine the amount of drugs she is going to need to do to overcome the emotional crisis she will experience as more and more of her friends and family die. I remember when George Burns, was that his name? I don't even know. Let me see if that's the guy. Was that the guy? The older people know who I'm talking about. He was a comedian or something.
Comedian actor?
Yeah, I remember hearing about him dying. Yeah, he was 100 years old. He died March 9th, 1996. Crazy. He died on my birthday, March 9th, when I was 10 years old. I didn't know who he was, but I remember hearing about it when I was a kid, and I'm just thinking, I don't know or care what that is or who that is. It means nothing to me. But there are a lot of people who were like, wow, I remember watching that guy when I was a kid, and now he died. And that's going to happen more and more and more. People die. This woman is not going to relate to any Gen Z or TikToker, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, any of that stuff. She's going to be an out of touch, let's just call her asynchronous, or, I don't know what the right word might be, but it's a curse I would not wish on my worst enemies.
She's developing a parasocial relationship with an audience. She's going on these late night talk shows. I'm sure she has Instagram friends, but very sad. Tim, there was something that struck me about what you said in there, a particular part of it, and it was that the first person that you knew that died was from a drug overdose. It's really sad because that's the first person. It was a drug overdose that killed them, and the first person I knew who died was also of a drug overdose, and I feel like that's an extremely common thing, the opioid crisis and drug crisis in our country that we kind of overlook constantly. But for young people nowadays, it really is the first person who you knew died was somebody in your high school or something overdosing from God knows what. So I don't know that.
I think that, it makes a lot of sense. Young kids.
Number one killer, I believe, of young.
Out with drugs. It was heroin.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time I was like, oh, did you hear so-and-so died? And I was like, what? How? And, a lot of people do have someone where it's like a kid had a medical issue, but it's like young people don't die at the rate older people do, but not once you're in your 30s. And I know everybody listening, they know it. Some of you might have got a message, recently, a week ago, a month ago, where they're like, hey, it's Rick from back home. How you been? It's pretty good. Just calling to let you know, man, that Jim passed away. He had a heart attack. And it's like, oh, man. And I get those messages, and it's like it's sad. But for someone like her whole thing is she's going on Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's audience is waning; it's collapsing. The word I was thinking of was anachronism. She will be an 80-year-old woman, and there will be no one to listen to any of her cultural references because they won't care. The cultural references and what is relevant culturally to young people will be dramatically different, and she will be a weird, anachronistic personality. I would not wish this curse on my worst enemies, but it's coming for the liberals because this is the world they choose to live in.
I think she embodies what she was preached to when she was a young woman, and things obviously changed. Feminism and the way we treat women in our society has obviously changed, and their role in society has obviously changed, and it seems she completely bought into the liberal feminists.
But there were feminists
real
who
quick.
had families.
This is an important distinction. This video is going viral now, but it is an old video. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was it dated?
The video is actually from the 2020 election. That's why it says flashback.
Okay.
Because initially, 50 Cent was going to endorse Trump, and then at the end, he was like, no, I don't like that guy. I'm going to endorse Biden. And now
I don't think 50 Cent, any of these black celebrities endorsing Trump isn't doing a thing.
Ideology. The thing is, there were feminists way back in the day who did have children. Even now, 50% of all women say that they were raised by a mom who identified as a feminist, right? But I think with Chelsea Handler, feminism and women's role in society, the narrative that's there is part of it. The other part is just a rising culture of selfishness, right? To me, that's really more than feminism. That's what Chelsea Handler embodies to me. It's if I had children, I wouldn't be able to do the things I wanted to do when I wanted to do them. It'd be the death of the life that revolves around me. And that's true to a certain point when you have kids, right? But there is something more about building a family that is worth it that I think speaks to the human experience and to the soul. And I think a lot of our culture right now really revolves around sort of self-obsession. We have Instagram accounts that are telling you how much people like you. You're constantly thinking about how you are viewed by other people. What should you be doing? It's about the self more than it is about the community. And I think conservatives talk more about this than I feel like left-wing causes do. Left-wing causes will say like, oh, it's good for the community, but what they really mean is the individuals that make up this collective group that sort of think they have something in common. Whereas I think when conservatives talk about community, it really is about this thing that you are actively participating in and contributing to. And part of that is having family. Part of that is also just being active in your community. I was listening to something about Rockefeller and the fact that like he was a workaholic, but also he taught Sunday school, right? This is something he felt very important. And that's fascinating, right? Because he obviously felt a devotion to the children that were being raised in a religion that he also felt devotion to. Like all this guy did was work and teach Sunday school. Fascinating.
I just think we've got to get back to the basics and restore America to look like The Handmaid's Tale.
I always thought those robes were really cool in the TV show. They look kind of glamorous to me.
I'm not going to pretend I've seen The Handmaid's. Have you seen The Handmaid's?
I was kidding, by the way, but it's
Maybe.
a few episodes.
I just
All
watched
I've known
it
of
this
it
year.
was in the Women's March. They used to dress in the costumes, and now it's like a common symbol.
I get why you don't like the head covering, but the red robe is cool, man. I thought that was kind of fun.
Wasn't the story like it's like the world, like a war happened and the human population was decimated, so
It's war, but also like the fertility rate collapses from what I know about it. That like people stop being able to have children, and there's an idea that it's like environmental issues, which like the Gilead Society ultimately ends up kind of seeming to solve. Which
is that what it is about?
From what I watched, like I just haven't watched the first two.
Is it on Netflix? I'll report back.
I'll put it this way: I can't speak to The Handmaid's. I've never actually seen it. I've only seen snippets. But in the general idea of a fertility rate collapse, population decimation, and humanity on the verge of extinction, any civilization that condemns the idea that women should have kids in that scenario deserves to go extinct. Like pandas, I don't know why we're trying to save them. Because they look funny, I guess.
So cute.
Yeah, they're so... The baby ones are absolutely cute, but... Dude, if a species won't reproduce, the species ceases to exist.
I love those videos where it's like the giant mom panda will be sitting there holding its baby, and then a caregiver will come like hand it an apple, and they'll be like, "Wow!" and they'll steal its child.
Yep.
Like, yeah, you guys are not doing great here.
Nope. And that's probably why they're gonna go extinct. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.